Hi, it's John Hope Bryant, founder, chairman, and chief executive officer of Operation Hope. Operation Hope is the largest nonprofit financial literacy and financial inclusion organization in North America. We're also the gathering for the most prominent leaders in the world for the empowerment of the poor, the struggling class, and the struggling middle class every year around this time. It's called our Hope Global Forum Annual Meeting 2021. The theme this year is Meeting the Moment, which really describes my guest today extraordinarily well. I'm also an entrepreneur, which me and Harley share a passion for. So without further ado, I want to formally recognize somebody who's become a friend and not just a partner. Somebody who I think is extraordinarily cool, is authentic. So what you see is what you get. And Harley, combined with our other friends at Shopify, Toby I and Toby Y, who'll explain who they are maybe when he's describing a little bit about Shopify, and they're up from nothing story themselves. It's pretty incredible. By the way, the wealthiest company in Canada now, up from nothing at Shopify. But they made a $130 million commitment, a 10-year commitment last year at the forum to help Operation Hope create 1 million new Black businesses in America. And typically these announcements get made and folks just sort of drift on to something else. And unfortunately, years later, you find that very little came of whomever with the best of intentions made that commitment. It's been $50 billion of commitments, by the way, for social justice made by corporations since the unfortunate tragic death, murder, some would argue, in the middle of last year, which started the social justice reckoning of Black America in this country, which was George Floyd. But Shopify is different. They're not just about PhDs, they're about PhDs too. So he's back. Harley is back 1 year later to report with me on the results of our startup year. Harley, welcome to the Hope Global Forum.
John, it's a great honor to be here, and thank you for being a great partner, but also for being incredibly inspiring to us. We really look up to you and all your folks and what you guys are doing. And so I'm glad to be back for a second year to the Hope Global Forum.
Deeply honored. You mentioned when we were off camera that we should probably start with the results. So I'm going to honor those watching by starting there. And I want to back up from there. And I want people to know your personal story, because oftentimes people presume that folks like you and I just showed up with everything we needed to succeed. That's not the case.
Not at all the case. Yeah. And in fact, where the Venn diagram of our lives sort of overlap is that you and I have both used this thing called entrepreneurship to improve our lives, to survive, to get through really, really tough times. And so, as your t-shirt says, entrepreneur, right across your chest, and right across my chest is also entrepreneur, because I think that it is the great equalizer. Before we get into sort of how we've done over the last year, let me just give a quick background, if that's okay, John.
Sure.
Yeah. So about just over a year ago, we met at an event, actually, and we talked about this idea of entrepreneurship. We had sort of this shared passion for entrepreneurship, and that it really is a path to independence. We also talked about the fact that entrepreneurship can be the great equalizer, and where more independent voices make entrepreneurship and commerce better. And that's why, I've spent my entire life trying to break down barriers to entrepreneurship. But the thing that we also agreed on is that it's not evenly distributed, that not everyone has access to the ability to start a business, to scale a business. And that first conversation was, we thought, well, what would it look like if we made starting a business a lot easier, a lot more accessible? And through that, we agreed that we should collaborate between Operation Hope and Shopify and work towards sort of this shared passion for helping underserved communities succeed. and to unlock what would you refer to as more economic opportunity for Black business owners across the country. And we sort of what we paired on, what we combined was our software and our resources with Operation Hope's reach. And what we tried to do is see what would happen from that experiment. And that experiment is now 1 year in the making. Again, we've committed to over $100 million worth of money, but also services to help with this. And so we've now seen thousands of Operation Hope signups. We've now seen a ton of businesses being created. Just before getting ready for this chat here, I just sort of perused the list of all the entrepreneurs or the aspiring entrepreneurs that became entrepreneurs through the 1 Million Black Business Program, 1MBB. And there are two, John, that I want to sort of talk about because I think they're really interesting. There's one created by a woman named Shayna out of Baltimore, and it's called Poor Pairings. I'm just going to give a shout out to it. I don't have any relationship to the merchant, but it's a really cool story, poorpairings.com. And what Shayna did was over this past summer 2021, she decided that she wanted to create this monthly wine subscription and create these wine pairing experiences. And she went on the 1MBB website. She signed up again this summer, and she's gone on to create a really amazing business in the last 3 months or so. So she used the Shopify software. She used the resources that Operation Hope has provided, and she's created a real business that I think will be around for a long time. And I'll keep checking back with Shayna and let you know how that's doing. The second one was a company called the Session Sense. Started out of Atlanta, and that started in May of this year. So we're only talking about 4 or 5 months. And now Accession Sense, so the accessionsense.com is now up and running. It's a great business. They do high-end luxury scents and perfumes. And again, these are businesses that may not have existed if it wasn't for the work that we've been doing together. And I think ultimately what you and I are trying to do and what this program is trying to do is change the cadence of entrepreneurship, make it easier for anyone that has an idea to build a real business. And maybe that business goes on to become a Fortune 500 and go public, or maybe that business is just a way for them to support their family, support their community. I think that's the best part of entrepreneurship, that everyone is allowed to find their own versions of success through that. And that's what this program is all about. The story of entrepreneurship is also my story, John. I mean, I was 13 years old, living in South Florida. My parents didn't have very much money, and I wanted to be a DJ. And nobody would hire me. And someone randomly told me that if I want to be a DJ, I can start my own DJ company. And I did. I didn't have any money, but I rented some equipment and I hired myself. And that's how I became a DJ. That was my first time interacting and understanding what entrepreneurship is. 4 years later, I was in Canada going to school. My dad was no longer around. My family lost all of their money. And once again, I pulled out this tool out of my tool belt called entrepreneurship. In this case, I started making t-shirts for local universities here in Canada. And again, I was able to survive, put food on my table, help my mom and younger sisters, and my dad wasn't around anymore. Entrepreneurship for me is not just this wonderful way to self-actualize, to find your passion. It's a way for human beings to survive whatever life throws their way. And what I love about this idea of entrepreneurship becoming more democratic is that it's now more accessible. If this was 50 years ago and we were trying to encourage people to start businesses, we can give them all the software in the world, all the training. We'd also have to give them an unbelievable amount of money, because the prerequisite to starting a business 50 years ago was capital. Yeah. Whereas now it's not. It's creativity. Resourcefulness is now more important than resources. And I think that is actually why there's never been a better time to be an entrepreneur. There's also never been a better time for us to have a program around creating 1 million Black-owned businesses, because now we actually can help all along the way. And it's not just the software. Yes, you're getting software from Shopify. We make it easy. But the training that Operation Hope is providing, the mentorship, showing all these different tools and best practices, this is going to lead to companies that we will look back on in a decade from now and say they were started through the 1MBB program.
Harley, I was doing the Roland Martin show, and when we first launched this, and some of the attendees were like, "This is too good to be true. This is an incredible program. Free Shopify account for 4 months, license, a website, domain name search, payment systems, delivery system support, I've already said payment system, a line of credit once you make your first sale available to you, all this financial coaching on the back end, business counseling, business training, entrepreneurship training, credit score training, all this stuff basically for free. Why are you doing this? What's the catch? And I said, the catch is, I paused, that Shopify wants you as a new customer. And I let that sink in. And I said, isn't that what you want? Like, you don't want a handout. You don't want a hand up. And they were like, yeah, that is what we want.
Just 1MBB has been an incredible thing, but it's also influenced so much more inside of Shopify since meeting you, John. So for example, we've now curated Black business shopping lists inside the Shop app, which is an app that we created. It's a top 3 to 5 app in the shopping category across every single app store. That means that our employees at Shopify, but all consumers can now directly shop to support those merchants. We're creating on October 20th this event called Build Black, which is now an annual event where we interview merchants, Black-owned businesses and merchants, so they can share their experiences of being an entrepreneur with others. We also created new office hours with merchants individually, one-on-one, to help their business grow, and speakers and hosting events on both personal and business finance. So not only has 1MBB been an incredible program for encouraging more people to become entrepreneurs who otherwise may not, and get to our goal of having 1 million Black-owned businesses by 2030. But there's all these residual impact and residual effects of how Shopify is now showing up in the world to say, we want to be the entrepreneurship company. The only way we can be the entrepreneurship company is if more people can participate in entrepreneurship. And that doesn't mean people that have business degrees or have people, parents that have money that can help them. It means everybody who has an idea should be able to commercialize that idea. Anyone that has a hobby that wants to make money from that hobby should be able to build a business around that. And that is sort of why, you talk about 2 + 2 = 6. That's a 2 + 2 = 6.
So we're trying to fix all of this through this model that hopefully other people will be inspired by. And here is an example of that inspiration. This is in one startup year. So here's Sabrina, 53-year-old African-American female. She's given us permission to tell her story. Raised 3 children in public housing. She was a victim of domestic abuse, predatory lending, and experienced homelessness. She said, thanks to Operation Hope and 1MBB and a coach named Antonio Lynch, who works for us, she now has a company that provides tax preparation, notary and notary signing agency, credit repair, and professional business solutions. She says her vision is to create an entrepreneurial training and development center located in a hub zone business district near where she lives. So she's paying it forward, serving low-income women who lack training and skills. So she's making her also rainbow after a storm, Harley. She also is coming through the pain and the struggle to create something larger and more important.
I think that what we are doing together, this mission of making entrepreneurship more accessible, of allowing people to find their own versions of success, whether that's paying for ballet lessons for their kids, or that's taking a company public and creating multi-generational wealth, which you and I never had. That's why we get up in the morning, and I'm so optimistic about what we're doing together, John. And honestly, it's been truly a great honor, not just to start working together, but to call you a friend and a mentor of mine.
I just love the way you lead, and
thank you.
I have a genuine love for the folks at Shopify, from the top to the bottom. You guys you've been absolutely consistent, and there's so many heroes and sheroes and entities who've leaned in. If you are a company who thinks that you can help create a Black business, Delta Airlines, there's so many, sign up. You want to create 200 or 2,000 or 200,000. We've got big government entities, I don't want to spoil it, who are about to lean in this effort. Companies, corporations, you can help, whether it's a time bank, whether it's committing to create Black businesses, mentoring, support, in-kind resources. I hear that big companies are about to provide accounting software, Harley, for every Black business, online accounting software for every Black business is part of 1MBB. We have our first entrepreneur in residence to mentor Black businesses as somebody who's created a company with a $50 million exit. So this is a new movement, and you can sign up and be a role model just like Harley has, and a symbol for hope. Number 2, if you're watching this and you thought that you couldn't become who you want to be, go to 1MBB. Luckily, you can type in the internet, just 1MBB will come up right away. In a year, we become a household name around the world. Type Hope 1MBB, go to hope1mbb.org and sign up. It's only going to cost you your time. It's free. It's free 99. It just costs you your time. Sign up. Give us a chance to either impress you or depress you. I think you'll be impressed. I hope you were inspired by this.
By the way, let me just throw this out because you talked to this earlier. If I can be valuable to any of you that are watching, if I can help you with if you sign up and you want me to check out your online store and give you some feedback, I'm on Twitter at Harley F. Send me a note and say, hey, look, I just launched, or hey, I'm thinking of launching. What do you think about this? I think entrepreneurship is the greatest tool for equality, but also for humans to find their life's work. And I want to help. So not only is just Shopify want to help, but on a personal level, entrepreneurship has given me everything, and just like it has for John. And so let me know what I can do to help. But John, this has been an honor to be here today. And as you always say at the end of our phone calls, let's go.
Let's go. Let's build. And by the way, I just got a note that a fraternity is going to follow. Phi Beta Sigma made a commitment for 1,000 Black businesses. I got a note that a fraternity and a sorority is going to follow their lead. So even right now, we're inspiring people. Thank you for all you do, Harley and Shopify. Let's go. Let's launch.
Thanks, John.